Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's users group on augmented maintenance and safety for MCCs. There's a lot of pretty neat augmented reality items that Rockwell's been involved with recently that you'll be able to see today. And going on from this talk, there are other tech talks coming up, as well as a preview of what to expect from Automation Fair. We have quite a few, not necessarily on just automation products, but some of the components products as well coming up. And as always, if you see any thing you like, you can always go review it at our website at reynoldsonline.com, and where we have all the recordings of everything that we do, past and present. And next. And coming up, Rockwell is planning on moving forward with Automation Fair in person. It will also have a virtual option if you would like, but it will be in Houston, Texas. If you're around and would like to join, please sign up at events.rockwellautomation.com. And the earlier you register, hopefully the earlier access you get to getting to the classes that you would want to see. And with that being said, I'll pass it on to Brianne Murray for the presentation today on augmented reality.
Thanks, Brian. And hey, everybody, my name is Brianne Murray. I am an information and analytics solution consultant for Rockwell, based out of Dallas, but I cover all of our Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Arkansas regions. So happy to be here today. Like Brian said, I'm going to talk through one of our newer solutions called Augmented Maintenance and Safety for our MCCs. It's a pretty cool technology because it's a essentially pre-built application and solution that's built on top of some of our new and emerging technologies from our partners like Augmented Reality, IoT platforms, and it's all integrated to focus on your critical MCCs. The first thing we like to talk about whenever we get this conversation started around this new solution, and the most impactful thing that we also like to talk about is really centered around downtime. The cost of downtime looks a little different for different industries. If you're in food and beverage, it might be $5,000 to $10,000 per minute. Automotive, we're getting into the $20,000 to $30,000 per minute. And then as we go into wood products or mining, oil and gas, and other heavy industries, it can be pretty dramatic, and we're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even in the millions per minute. But that dramatic cost is really important to focus on here because this application can really tackle the amount of time that you're spent down by enabling your workforce, giving you a more effective maintenance team, reducing safety events, and a number of other things that are really going to help you be a more productive and work in a more productive environment, specifically when it comes to your motor control centers. The two bottom things to note here are additional functionalities that will come from these applications as we walk through them and demo them today. The biggest one is maintenance efficiency. We're really going to focus on how we can enable a maintenance workforce to be effective, to get things right on the first try, and to do things really quickly when they need to. And then the other thing that's a supplemental function of this application is really safety. We have the ability to use different augmented reality applications here to not only reduce the amount of safety incidents you might have, but also just to reduce any unsafe behavior that might be common on the plant floor with individuals that are going out and working with these, quite honestly, pretty dangerous machines. With that though, there's a couple of different metrics that we have seen by implementing some of our AR and IoT capabilities in this space. The biggest one in that big red octagon there is a 50% reduction in downtime. This is something we've seen and something that we really think can impact if you were to implement a solution like this. But on the right there, you see there's a number of other things that can also occur by just implementing resources and applications like these. Big ones are a pretty significant reduction in training time, as well as time savings that reach a root cause analysis when you're troubleshooting and trying to figure out what's going on. Not only, again, are we seeing a 20% reduction in safety incidents, but you can also see an 80% reduction in just general unsafe behavior by well equipping your workforce with procedures and processes that are easy to understand, just giving them better access to what they need to be doing and how they need to be doing it. And then another big one at the very bottom there is we're actually seeing a 90% improvement in first-time right repair by enabling folks with these procedures and augmented reality applications, just because it, like I said, it gives them a better access to processes that are well documented and intuitive and easy to understand. I do want to quickly talk about the technology behind this augmented maintenance and safety. I might call it AMS from here on out for short, because it's a couple of different things pre-built and tied together to give you a full digital solution. The first thing it's going to look at is your motor control centers. But with that, it also overlays our ThingWorx IIoT platform into those so that you can connect to live data on your plant floor, see what's going on. But then on top of that, what we're really leveraging and using here on the augmented reality side is our partner product, Vuforia. There's a couple different technologies that fit into that suite, but the combination of these three things are what's going to give us a really robust solution when it comes to understanding what's going on with our MCCs and how we can better inform, improve our maintenance teams, and reduce downtime that might be associated with these critical pieces of equipment. The other thing I do want to hop into before we talk about the specifics of each application as well is here we've got a couple of different devices that are capable when it comes to our augmented reality solutions. You guys might have heard me talk about augmented reality here before, but I just want to review this pretty quickly here because it's a good thing to keep in mind if you guys are interested in implementing any of the things we see today. There's a couple different ways that your workforce can digest it, that you can interact with these different applications and experiences. Today, probably the most common and the easiest to implement on the far left here are smartphones and tablets. Just because most folks have them, maybe they're a little bit cheaper and easier to get a hold of. And smartphones and tablets have been around long enough that they've got high quality cameras, high quality gyroscopes and other sensors built into the devices that are going to give you a pretty robust and really immersive augmented reality experience when you use them. But what I think is pretty important to note here are these two devices on the right. We're seeing a pretty heavy kind of walk towards the use of these devices, just because what we see pretty often in the manufacturing industry is a need to be hands-free and a need to be able to interact with something without having to carry it around or get a phone dirty or drop it on the floor and have it break. But we have two different devices that we most commonly use with our applications. That's the RealWear head-mounted tablet, HMT1 and 1Z1. 1Z1 is an intrinsically safe option that's made for industrial environments. And then the other is a Microsoft HoloLens. The HoloLens also has some industrial compatible options available as well for specific environments if you need it. But the reason that we like these is, again, it's a headset, it's something you wear, you can use vocal commands to interact with it. So you don't have to carry something around, but you can still experience any AR or assistive technologies using these. The biggest difference between the two is the RealWear, the one in the middle there, is actually a 2D wearable, meaning in the corner here, you actually see a two-dimensional screen just in the corner of your view so you can reference it when needed, but it's not going to block your eyesight whenever you're doing something. The HoloLens on the other side, these are actually glasses that cover your eyes because it gives you the ability to actually overlay holographic virtual images in front of you so they appear to be in the space around you. This is probably a bit more of an advanced technology, but it does have its moments when it's really powerful to use in applications like the ones I'm about to show. So with that, I'm about to hop through a few different videos of the applications that have been built out for this augmented maintenance and safety AMS solution. They're really going to focus on three specific areas here. The first is, again, the reduction of production costs, applying digital twins so that you can have your folks get to the bottom of a troubleshooting issue or anything else significantly quicker and get your machines back up and running significantly quicker. The second is maximizing workforce productivity by giving your folks more intuitive, easier to understand, and robust options for following procedures and following them safely. And then the third is really improving safety and compliance by, again, having really robust procedures put together that are going to keep you in spec with the different protocols that you need to follow when it comes to your MCCs. So the first one that I'm going to hop into here is centered around the idea of having access to a digital twin of your motor control center in the room in front of you, no matter where you are. So essentially what I'm doing here, I'm going to open up a tablet. I'm going to go to our Euphoria View application, and I'm going to click our MCC AR experience here. And now what I'm doing is I'm literally going to set a digital twin showing live data of a specific MCC on my desk in front of me. So now I can see a virtual example of what's on the plant floor right now. You can see there's a couple of different flashing indicators on different buckets. I can click those and interact with them and see a couple of different KPIs associated with different faults that might exist. A couple of them have thermal overloads you might see, but this is really just giving me a pretty valuable insight into what's happening right now at this MCC without having to go walk in front of it and figure out what's going on. It's going to really increase the ability to troubleshoot more quickly so that when I need to go in and see what's going on and fix any issue that might exist, I don't have to troubleshoot while I'm in front of the MCC. I know what I'm doing. I can walk in front of it and do it accordingly. What you'll also notice here is directly from this application, I was able to pull up associated documentation as needed. So this is a user manual for one of our PowerFlex drives. So let's say I see a fault, I need to figure out what to do about it. All within one application, I can click through, understand what's exactly going on, and understand exactly how to fix it. Likewise, instead of having to walk across the plant to another MCC, I can click a button and click between different motor control centers so that after I'm done troubleshooting and interacting with one, I can go ahead and move right on to another one. So again, a lot of valuable information here. What they're doing now is scrolling through a spec so that I can see the layout of that specific machine. And again, just getting the ability to troubleshoot more quickly and have access to all the information they need without having to run across a plant and take the logistics and time necessary to do that. I'm not going to play through this entire video because it's quite long, but essentially what they're going to do is they're going to click through another MCC here in a second and do the exact same thing, right? See the indicators needed, troubleshoot, and have all of that digital twin capabilities right at your fingertips. Now this video here, I'm going to pause before I let it play because I'm going to let you guys hear the audio of it as well. This is the second application that is built into our AMS solution. And instead of being focused on showing you live data and helping you troubleshoot an MCC right in front of you, this is actually focused on the specific steps and processes that your folks might need to follow whenever they're doing a standard procedure that occurs pretty often. This specific example is for an MCC bucket removal for one of our IntelliCenters. But what you'll see here as they go through the video is it's pretty impactful, and it's going to really help you transition away from those traditional methods like paper documentation or training classes, or having to have two folks on site so that you get the over-the-shoulder mentoring and shadowing of different maintenance individuals. And it's moving you into a really intuitive option for step-by-step procedures. You're going to have access to not only a picture or a document or a video of that specific step, you also get to see a caption of it, as well as you can hear the narration of whoever the expert might be performing that specific step. So that you've got all the options when it comes to however your maintenance teams best understand the work put in front of them. So I'm going to let it play for a few seconds so that you guys can kind of see what the layout looks like. This example is going to show you what it would look like on any 2D device. So meaning a PC, a tablet, or a 2D eyewear. Let's play that pretty quickly here.
I am going to demonstrate how we are going to pull an MCC bucket out of an IntelliCenter. This particular IntelliCenter is Arc Shield, and it's got the Secure Connect feature. So the first thing we want to do is turn the power off to the bucket with the disconnect, making sure that everything is ready to do so. Motor disconnect is off. You'll notice that the load side power indicator is not showing any power, but the line side still is because we're still connected to the horizontal bus in the back of the MCC. So the first thing I want to do is move this to the right, and that allows us to access the 1/4-inch hex key disconnect. Using a 1/4-inch hex key, in my case, I'm just using an adapter on a ratchet. I'm going to want to turn this towards disconnect. You'll hear a loud click, and what you'll also notice this is up here. This went from red to green. So the first thing we want to do is
So I will save you guys from having to go through a 5-minute video of this specific process. But hopefully that gave you a little bit of an idea of what the format looks like from this type of procedural application that comes with our AMS solution. One thing that I did want to draw attention to, and I kind of moved my cursor around it on the previous slide, but I'm going to do it again here, is there's a couple different ways that you can require feedback within a procedure so that your individuals who are accessing it are going to interact with it, but you can go back in and look at data for who completed the procedure. Maybe they stopped during a certain step and didn't finish it, but within these steps, they can either confirm that they did a step, or here the option is to pass or fail that specific step. So maybe you're looking at something that's more of an inspection style procedure or something of that nature. You've got the ability to collect the information needed and associated with the specific steps in this process. But again, hopefully you guys can really see the value of this is whether this is on a tablet sitting next to them or in their hand, whether this is in the corner of their view on a headset. It's really powerful, and it's a lot easier to digest and understand and interact with than having to go in and download a PDF or find a thick binder of step-by-step instructions that maybe haven't been updated as recently as they need to be. The next video I'd like to show you guys is essentially the same procedure as you just saw, but the difference is instead of showing it on a 2D option, I just wanted to give you guys one example of what a different style device might look like on the same procedure. So you're going to see what that specific step-by-step work instruction for a bucket removal looks like on a Microsoft HoloLens instead of on a PC or a 2D piece of eyewear. And again, the value of this specific application within AMS is just better enabling the folks that you've got on the floor, giving them access to information at their fingertips or right in front of their eyes. So let's go ahead and play this one pretty quickly here.
I am going to demonstrate how we are going to pull an MCC bucket out of an IntelliCenter. This particular IntelliCenter is Arc Shield, and it's got the Secure Connect features on it. The bucket that we're going to be taking out is this bucket here. It shows line side voltage and load side voltage. I will be wearing my safety gear, rubber gloves,
Next step,
and an arc flash hard hat with a safety.
play video.
So the first thing we want to do is turn the power off to the bucket with the disconnect, making sure that.
Now again, saving you guys from having to watch through this entire bucket removal procedure. Hopefully this gives you an idea of what it would look like in a 3-dimensional headset. You'll notice these 2 panels here are a bit transparent, but if you were to put on the goggles, it would appear as though they're hovering right in front of you. One thing that you guys might have heard, I know this video is a bit more quiet, but the user of this experience actually used vocal commands to move through the process. So he said next step to get to step 2, and then he said play video as soon as it started, so that he's really interacting with it. The controls that Microsoft has and that RealWear has on their headset devices when it comes to vocal commands are pretty intuitive. They work pretty well. But overall, again, just another way to digest this specific type of procedural experience. And I guess another bell and whistle of what this would look like with a HoloLens device specifically. You see this location indicator here HoloLens devices actually give you the ability to add additional requirements by geotagging specific steps to specific areas of a machine or a plant. So let's say for step 1 of the bucket removal, you need to make sure you're at the right bucket. You can actually tag it with a location to make sure that they're not standing on the wrong end of the MCC, but they're in the right location, just as an additional requirement to make sure that your workforce understands what they're doing, is in the right place at the right time, and leveraging the information in front of them to the best of their ability. Now, I've only got one more application video demo to show, and this one I want to leave a bit vague for you guys because there's a lot of different ways you can take this. This specifically is going to be an example more on the safety side of things. It's going to show you how you can implement 3-dimensional objects and virtual indicators to show live data, but to also show you the arc flash boundary and things to stay away from whenever you're standing in front of an MCC. So I'm going to play it really quickly and kind of talk through it because I don't think this one has sound. But again, this is just another good example of how you can really interact with your MCCs, but just have a workforce and have access to information that's a lot more valuable than having to carry around a thick manual or ask an expert who's been doing this for years and have them have to train all of your new workforce as well. Again, you can see they're pulling up documentation right in front of them. This specific example is actually on a RealWear device. So they're wearing a headset, but they're seeing it just in the corner of their eye. They can zoom in and read the specific stuff they want to see. And then you saw earlier they had different 3-dimensional warning signs show up in front of them to see and understand how far away to be. The last thing they're going to do is they actually click this thing in the corner here, and it's pulling up Vuforia Chalk. This is, again, another one of our augmented reality applications that comes from our partner PTC. But essentially what they're doing is within this experience, they're actually pulling up the ability to call one of their experts. So let's say Joe is across the plant or Joe is working from home today, but Joe's the only one that knows how to do this process, or he's the only one that knows the way things were left. You can call him directly and be connected via a live video and audio feed. He'll see everything right in front of you. And then Joe's got the ability to actually go in on his PC or on his mobile device and annotate the space in front of you so that he can circle a specific bucket or specific other details around the MCC or other device. And you can just be immediately connected with him without having to have him drive down and stand right next to you while you do something. So again, the focus is on how can we best enable your workforce and really just understand what's going on and what's in front of you. With that, from a demo and application perspective, that's all I had to show today. I do think it's worth mentioning that the process for creating these and implementing these applications is customizable. So the first thing that we do is we want to really discover and understand what use cases of those 3 make the most sense. Maybe you have an additional use case that wasn't specifically covered in the examples or pre-built applications. We can pretty easily go through and customize things to be catered to your MCCs or to other devices across your plant. While this specific application is focused on that piece, I think it's also worth mentioning that because it's built on IoT platforms and really flexible and customizable other augmented reality platforms, let's say you see a value in this, but it doesn't have anything to do with your MCC, we can customize in the direction that makes the most sense for you as well. So all that to say, this is a pre-built application. It's a great way to get started on any digital transformation initiatives that you have, but haven't been able to get running. Or let's say you've already started working in the direction of this. It's a great addition focused on those critical pieces of equipment. With that, that's really all I had to share today. Brian, I don't know if there's any questions that you've seen in the chat to talk through. But hopefully these
not
guys,
at the moment.
Awesome. Well, hopefully this looked pretty interesting to you guys. I would just encourage you all to reach out to your account managers or your automation specialists, and we're all happy to have deeper conversations on the stuff that you saw today.
Thanks, Brianne.
No problem.
All right, with that, we're done for this users group. And again, if you want to view the recording or any of our other presentations, go to reynoldsonline.com. Thanks. Have a good day.